Hello, it's good to be with you. As we think about being Easter people and people of hope, I turn to Anne Lamott from her book, Almost Everything, published in 2018. Anne Lamott's words. Some days there seems to be little reason for hope in our families, cities, and world. Well, except for almost everything. The seasons change, a bone mends, Santa Rosa rebuilds after the fire. In the days after a cataclysmic school shooting, thousands of students took to the streets and the public squares. They got us back up onto our feet and changed the world. Still, we hold our breath. In times of rational and primitive fear, hope has to do push-ups out in the parking lot to stay pumped, and it does. More and more one hears Dr. King quoted everywhere of finite disappointment versus infinite hope. Science, art, community, and nature make manifest that bad will or mistakes can lead to progress. Like Bob Ross on his show, The Joy of Painting, reminding us that when we make big mistakes on canvas, we can turn them into birds. Yeah, they're birds now. In my current less young age, I've learned that almost more than anything, stories hold us together. Stories teach us what is important about life, why we are here, and how it is best to behave. And that inside of us we have access to treasure in memories and observations and imaginations. This is what I want to teach the little kids in my writing class, along with the most important thing anyone ever told me. Almost 30 years ago, when I called my mentor Horrible Bonnie at my most toxic and hysterical, having screwed up as a mother, she said to me, "Dearest, here is the secret. You are pre-approved." I kept asking her, really? Really? This is what I want to teach my niece and grandson too, my Sunday school kids, my dearest children, that they are pre-approved. This is a come-as-you-are party. Who they were in kindergarten, in high school, in bed last night, was the very best they could be at the time. Was in fact the only way they could be at the time. It is okay for them to make bad mistakes and decisions, to write ghastly first drafts. Hey, they're all birds now. Hope changes as you get a little older. From the hope that this or that happens, to hope in life, old friends, laughter, art, goodness, helpers. I hope and am amazed some early mornings at just finding myself alive. I thought as I approached 18 years old that I was a goner for sure. And here I am, still alive, still here, and often in a good mood. Other early mornings, not so much. My back aches, my vision fades, I can't concentrate. It's like in the Samuel Beckett novel, you must go on, I can't go on, I'll go on. Of course, we are reduced at times, late at night, no matter how deep our faith in God or goodness or one another, to quavering aspect. No matter how beautiful our views are of trees and birds and children, there are such scary pronouncements from Washington or our doctors that we can't help hearing the descending tones of age, global warming, the ticking of the nuclear clock, the heartbeats of the 7.6 billion other people around us. This stuff is scary and it's very real. Yet hope is real too. Our minds are hardwired in many ways to do many things, only half of which, from my observations, are self-destructive. We can walk without thinking about how to do it. We can recognize a face from the past in a fraction of a second. Our minds can instantly determine whether the face is friend, foe, or unknown in that same fraction. But if it's someone we've been introduced to that day, we might not be able to remember the person's name 10 minutes later. Most of our brains are very good at some things, but not so good at others. Pre-wired for certain tasks, but not for everything. Good enough for most of us. And then there are the artists, musicians, scientists, painters of light, and physicists, Caravaggio, Rumi, Einstein. As soon as regular people like me can grasp that light is particles, like specks of sand, or that light is waves, like ripples in water, then scientists step in and prove not only that light is both, but that we can observe light, that when we observe light, we change it. I mean, come on now. Life is way wilder than I'm comfortable with, way farther out, as we used to say. More magnificent, more deserving of awe, and I would add more benevolent, well-meaning, kindly. Waves and particles, redwoods, poetry, this world of wonders and suffering, great crowds of helpers and humanitarians, here we are alive right now together. I worry myself sick about melting ice caps, the escalating arms race, and the polluted air as I look forward with hope to the cleansing rains, the coming spring, the warmth of summer, the student marches. John Lennon said, everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. And as this has always been true before, we can hope it will be again. We have all we need to come through. Against all odds, no matter what we've lost, no matter what messes we've made over time, no matter how dark the night, we offer and are offered kindness, soul, light, and food, which creates breadth and spaciousness, which create hope sufficient unto the day. We have all lived through so much horror and so much beauty and so much hope in our lives. We have all lived with so much loss the past 14 months. We know these words of Anne Lamott to be so true. We will continue to call a thing what it is. We will name the losses and the blessings in our lives. We name the heartache and anger, and we name the deep relationships and the people who have carried us through. I'd like to close with a blessing by John O'Donohue after a destructive encounter. Now that you've entered with an open heart into a complex and fragile situation, hoping with patience and respect to tread softly over sore ground, in order that somewhere beneath the raw estrangement, some fresh spring of healing might be coaxed to release the grace for a new journey, beyond repetition and judgment, and have achieved nothing of that, but emerged helpless and with added hurt. Withdraw for a while into your own tranquility. Loosen from your heart the new fester. Free yourself from the wounded gaze. That is not yet able to see you. Recognize your responsibility for the past. Don't allow your sense of yourself to wilt. Draw deep from your own dignity. Temper your expectation to the other's limits, and take your time carefully, learning that there is a time for everything and for healing too, but that now is not that time.